Hello, and welcome to札幌学院 University's Community College Global Issues in English. And today's topic is energy storage. Before we start, I recommend that you visit this page where you can find some vocabulary support and some language exercises which will help you with the topic. All right, good morning. When I get up in the morning, I switch on my coffee machine, I switch on my electric power. This is me, by the way. I switch on my electric lights, I switch on my television, I switch on my computer, and my use of electricity goes up to a peak. After breakfast, I leave my house, and of course my house uses less and less electricity until I come home in the evening, and I switch on my television, and I switch on my lights, and I switch on my air conditioner, and I switch on all my electrical things. This is me, by the way. And so in every day we have 2 peaks of electricity use. Actually, this graph comes from California, and it can vary from summer to winter, from season to season, or from weekday to weekend. But it's basically the same all over the world. 2 peaks here and here. And electricity companies, in the morning, as people switch on their equipment, they increase the electricity supply to meet this demand. When people go to work, they turn it down, and then when people come back in the evening, they turn it up again. And it's very, very important that this movement up and down, this supply and demand, is smooth and instant. There can't be any delay, there can't be any stoppage in between. And if the companies are using gas or coal or oil or nuclear power, this can be very, very smooth. But if they're using wind power and solar power, we have some problems. Because if there is no sun, no wind, there's no electricity. Because solar and power are what we call intermittent, and they are not reliable sources of energy. And if we have no sun and no wind and no power, we have blackouts. Now, to answer this problem, of course, energy storage. And when we think of energy storage, we think of batteries. However, the situation is very, very complicated, and new technologies are coming to improve electricity storage. And one example of this, of course, is lithium ion batteries, which we can use in our homes, with our cars, and perhaps on large-scale utilities for areas of countries. Another form of energy storage is what's called pumped hydro, and I need to explain this. Here we have a lake and some wind power and solar power, and when the wind is blowing and the sun is shining, we use that power to pump water up here to another lake in the mountains, and then in the evening, when it's dark and perhaps when there's no wind, you can open these gates, the water will come down again and make electricity here. So a very simple technology, but very effective. Another form of energy storage is what is called concentrated solar power. We can see here, these are all mirrors, and they are focusing light and energy and heat onto this tower in the middle. You can see the sun comes here, and it focuses on the tower. Now this tower contains salt, and this salt becomes very, very, very hot. In fact, it becomes liquid, and then the liquid salt can go in here, and you can use the liquid salt to produce electricity for a period of hours or even days. And then finally, our energy storage has hydrogen. And hydrogen, again, uses solar power and wind power to produce electricity, to do something called, a process called electrolysis, which is dividing water into hydrogen and oxygen. Now, maybe you did that at high school. Do you remember? And then the hydrogen can be taken off and used in cylinders, can be put into fuel cells to produce heating or electricity, or for cars. So the hydrogen is a very interesting technology. Many new technologies, lots and lots of new ideas. We don't have time to talk about these, but very exciting area of research. And now of these 4 types that I mentioned, which do you think provides most energy? Do you think it's pumped hydro, the water going down and up? lithium ion batteries, hydrogen, or the concentrated solar? The answer is pumped hydro, the lower lake to the upper lake. And here's a bonus question for you. What percent of global energy storage capacity is provided by pumped hydro? Do you think it's 27%, 69%, or 97%? The answer is 97%. Pumped hydro makes up 90% of stored energy. People are very surprised by this. They think maybe batteries are more important. But in fact, it's pumped hydro. And if you look at this graph, you can see this is pumped hydro, and these are all of the other types of energy storage. So pumped hydro is very, very much the most important type of energy storage at the moment. And these three very small bars make up this. And here we have the salt, the concentrated salt, and the lithium ion batteries. So very, very small parts in the energy storage plan. Lithium ion batteries are useful for short periods of time. They're useful in electric cars. Electric cars can now go 560 kilometers on one charge. This technology, again, is getting better and better and improving very, very quickly. It can be used in homes. The battery in an average home may last about 12 hours, but if you use a lot of electricity, it may only last 2 or 3 hours. So it's a huge challenge for battery makers to make this a longer period where they don't need recharging. And then finally, what's called large-scale utility. Now they can only provide electricity for 10 minutes, so a very, very short time, just enough to bridge the gap between, for example, solar power and gas or a fossil fuel. However, this program in Australia, produced by Tesla, has a very large capacity, and recent news shows that in California, 2 new huge utility stations are being built to provide much more electricity for longer periods of time. And we can see the costs, again, the costs of batteries are coming down very, very quickly. The number of electric cars are increasing, so the cost of batteries is going down, the cost of electric cars is going down, the cost of driving electric cars is going down. So these are very exciting technologies using batteries. Concentrated solar power, again, is useful. You can use the energy for a longer period of time than lithium-ion batteries. They can use it for hours or even days, a few days. It can provide very large amounts of electricity on cloudy days or when there's no wind. And although they are expensive to build, they are not expensive to operate. And again, the price of electricity is coming down. Pumped hydro, again, it can be used at any time of the year, and you can use it for hours, of course. You can use it for a very long period of time, hours or days. 180 gigawatts of stored energy in hydropower, very, very big, very, very useful, important. Not every country has suitable mountains and lakes. There's a limit on suitable places for building pumped hydro systems. So, for example, in Holland, where it's very flat, it's a big challenge to make a lower lake and a higher lake. And hydrogen, especially green hydrogen, finally. Let's go to Scotland, over here in Western Europe. And particularly, let's go to the Orkney Islands. Here we are, way up in the north of Scotland. Very, very beautiful, very, very friendly. Please go and visit. Very interesting, old history and culture, but also very, very windy. Now in Scotland, do you remember, first of all, using the hydrogen, using the renewable energy to provide power for electrolysis to divide water into hydrogen and oxygen, and then storing the hydrogen. Now electrolysis needs a lot of energy, and it is expensive, but in the Orkneys, in the islands, they have 120% of the energy that they need. They have 20% extra energy from wind power and from tidal power. And again, tidal power, 24 hours a day, 360 days a year, a very, very useful source of energy. And so they can use this 20% to make hydrogen. Now, 20 or 30 years ago, they'd switch off the turbines, or they'd switch off the wind power. But now if they have the 20% of energy, they are producing, through electrolysis, they're producing hydrogen in cylinders. They are energy independent. In future, they will be able to export their energy and produce more and more. However, of course, this pioneer project is very, very, very small. In fact, in the world, where is hydrogen on this graph? It's not here because it is so small that it doesn't even matter as an important energy storage system. However, green hydrogen makes up only 1% of world hydrogen production. 99% of the world's hydrogen comes from fossil fuels. So this is a very serious situation, but upscaling. Now, upscaling just means building bigger projects, and the more you produce, the cheaper it becomes. The costs will be coming down, and there are huge new projects in all of these countries: Saudi Arabia, Germany, Japan, Canada, Australia, Britain, Holland, Portugal, many, many other countries. And Wood Mackenzie, the American company, says 2020 to 2030 will be the decade of hydrogen. So very, very aggressive new technologies using hydrogen in the future. And again, this is one of the huge challenges of the 20th century, to produce more and more energy storage. Hydrogen, of course, can be used for transport. We can have hydrogen buses, trucks, trains, cars, possibly aeroplanes in the future. Hydrogen can be put into pipelines or cylinders for home energy. In pipelines, it can be mixed with other gases to provide cooking in our homes. It can be used for heating in industries and many, many uses. And of course, most importantly, it can be used to give me my morning coffee. Thank you for watching. See you again.